Hey, Rat Rod Bob here from Cruising with a Z Car Shows, and today we're on the Eastern Shore in Pittsville, Maryland, at the delicious Strawberry Festival Car and Truck Show. If you enjoy this channel, scan the subscribe button, and remember, it's free, and don't forget to comment. We read and appreciate all your suggestions. So for now, just sit back and enjoy the ride.
Hey, I'm going to say I'm Steve Mixter. I'm the president of the Wheels at Heels Car Club. We are here at the Pittsville Strawberry Festival for our second annual car show. And we've been doing our shows now for 20 years. This is our 20th year in business. We've collected well over $300,000 for individuals and people in need and local charities. And we're out here doing it again. Today we're doing it for a little boy named Luke Stevens, and he's from the Princess Anne area, and he really needs your help. I'm not sorry, he's not from Princess Anne. He's from Cambridge, and really needs your help. He's been through numerous brain operations, and we're just trying to give him a hand up. We'll be doing a big show for him in October called Cruise for a Cause. You can get more information on our website, www.wheelsthatheal.com, or on Facebook at Wheels That Heal. Thank you, and we're looking for a real good day today.
Hey, good morning from the Parsonsburg Pittsville Strawberry Festival. I'm Mac. This is my 71 VW bus. My dad bought it in October of 70 when the new model year came out. She is a Westphalia Deluxe Campmobile. I've been in it since I was about 2.5. It's the factory color. It's called Chianti Red. There's a 10-foot by 10-foot tent that actually hooks onto the side of it. I just generally don't put it out very often, but it's called a drive-away tent. You can actually pop it off and drive the bus away. And that's how I grew up down in Assateague Island, camping in it. And my dad would go off and go to work and then come back each evening in it. And we had the tent to stay in while he was gone. She came originally with a 1600cc motor, about 50 horsepower, give or take. She currently has a 1954cc Kurt Metzger built motor that runs around 100 horsepower. She's running off dual 40 millimeter carbs, Chevy rods, which is kind of funny. I always think that's kind of a hoot, but she's got a lot of low end in her now. And yeah, that's my baby.
What's your plans for?
My plans actually in about 7 years when I retire is to go cross country in it, and so that's why we did the motor swap in it, was to put so I can climb some hills out west. I know I can do flatland in her, and she actually lived about 5 years in Vermont when I was going to school in Vermont, so she knows hills. But yeah,
We're going to take a look around if you don't mind.
All right, let's go. It was funny during the restoration part. This was the hardest part to find on the entire build. This actually came from a hobbyist out of Germany to find it with the pony. The key is getting the embossed pony. There are a lot of smooth ones, but it's hard to see. But there's this little embossed pony on it. And they originally came out of, I think, California for some reason. But this was the hardest piece to find on the restoration.
And that's where the tent would.
Well, the tent will clip on here. This is actually the vent for this is a sink, and then this is a small ice box, and the ice actually drains out through a pipe down outside the vehicle, so you don't end up with a lot of water on your floor or anything like that. So this is actually a sink. So this is where the hose goes up into that. And as a little guy, I slept in the front. There's a cot that goes across the entire passenger and driver area. And when I got too big and my feet touched the glass, then I moved upstairs. And there's a blue cot upstairs that I slept in. And that back window is how you get to the luggage rack on the back of the vehicle. It zips open, and you can get to the luggage rack. The bench sofa folds down into a bed, and that's where my mom and dad slept. She's air cooled, no radiator. There's actually a screen that snaps in around this whole rear area so that you can have extra airflow throughout the place while you're camping. And then that's the motor. It's a 1954 cc. It actually has an alternator instead of a generator. They originally came with generators, but this one we put a alternator on it. It has a full flow oil system that's hidden under the rear quarter panel that allows it to run about 5.5 quarts of oil in it. Keeps it a lot cooler.
And thanks for the class. Oh, yeah, you're welcome. I have it on my display.
Well, it meant more to you than it did to me.
All right, I'm inside.
Big old bus steering wheel, no power steering, turns like a dang tank. My dad did all the woodwork on the interior when we replaced all the wood paneling on the inside, which we found out was interesting because the European version of their plywood, the grain goes in the opposite direction. So we had to try and bend wood against the grain. So that was fun and colorful.
Well, thank you very much. We enjoyed it.
Thank you.
My name is Zachary. I am from Hebron, Maryland. This is my 1971 Chevy C10. My uncle had it, and unfortunately we lost him last year. So he left it to me. In the photo you can see him there with me. That was our first car show together with this truck. And unfortunately it was his last.
What do you have in it?
I have a 1970 Chevy Impala 350.
Do you ever like car shows?
I do. I started, I'd say 2 years ago, I started going. What got me interested was the one over in Pittsville at the Forge Family and Youth Academy. They had a special category called The Roughest Still Running, and I just thought this truck met that requirement.
It says it goes to 100 miles an hour.
Nah, I haven't pushed it yet. I've had it up to 85. Yes. It is a dream of mine because my uncle always wanted to take it back to showroom quality. So that is the plan eventually.
Well, I'm sure he would be proud of you because the important part is you're having fun with his truck.
Yes, that's exactly right. You know, and I miss him, and I know every car show I go to, he's riding with me.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
My wife was taking census back in 2000, and she met a lady there, and she came home, told me that the newfound friend taking census with her husband collected cars. I said, well, we'll both 41 models, as he got a 41 model car. And she said, just so happens he does. I went and looked at it. It was not what you see now. It was original Survivor, and it had never been done anything but driven. Most of the trim was on it. The chrome and stainless looked good, but the car needed painting, and the interior needed to be replaced. And I got the car from him because my wife and I are both 41 models, so I said, I'll just enjoy restoring the car. And I started working on it in 2000. I work on it to this day. You're never finished with an antique car. And it's a pleasure to ride in, and it's a pleasure to drive. Um, I don't believe there's a component on the car that I haven't taken off and refurbished. Um, a lot of people don't realize that back in the day when this car was made, they didn't sell white wall tires normally to dealers. So when my generation came along in the 1950s, we wanted to dress up our cars so that their girlfriends would be impressed. So we could go to Western Auto and we could buy these porta walls that you put underneath the bead of the tire, pump the tire up, and lo and behold, for $10 you had 4 white wall tires. The car has every option that was offered in 1941. It has a under-seat heater. It has a defroster in the windshield. All that was extra. It has a radio. That was an option. It has a Flying Lady hood ornament. That was an option. For instance, the parking lights on the front of this car were only made 1 year with the insignia for 1941, which is very small. The parking lights originally sold for $10 a pair, and the dealer would put them on your car. I paid $1,000 for the 2 parking lights, and that's the way it is when you're restoring or working on a car. The engine I just had rebuilt by Jasper Engines up in Indiana because it was a Babbitt engine, and now they make insert bearings that go on the crankshaft and piston rods. And I was going to do it myself, but then I would have to be doing the miking and then ordering the parts. And I thought it a better idea to have one company be responsible for the whole rebuild, so that I know that the engine would come back with the original engine specs, clearances, talking about the clearances and whatnot. The radiator is the same radiator that came in the car. I've had it record, but there's a 41 stamped on that radiator, and for that reason, the person who recorded the radiator said it was imperative not to buy a new radiator, but to restore that one. The reason I restored the engine is because there's a number on the block down beside the battery that matches the number on the title and identifies that engine as belonging to this car. That was back before they had the stamped tag in the windshield where the police could look at whatever it was that they wanted to know. As a matter of fact, it's used today to sell a car. A lot of people convert cars from, say, a regular car to a super sport or whatever. This car, like I say, is original. And my enjoyment is in working on it and riding in it more than anything else. These are the parking lights. The visors over the headlights, although it was not original equipment on Chevrolet, in 1941, after Pearl Harbor was bombed, all the coastal towns had to have these shields over their headlights. As a matter of fact, the perimeter of the headlight was painted black, and you had a 2-inch square you were allowed in the center of the headlight to keep enemy submarines offshore from seeing what was going on the eastern shore. This car has always been on the eastern shore, and so it had the visors over the headlights.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, sir. God bless.
Hi, my name is Bert Owens from Hebron, Maryland. This kind gentleman here asked me to show you a little bit about my sand rail, my VW sand rail. It's basically a rear engine VW sand rail with about a 1688 engine on it. Is oversized a little bit. Just basic stock, a little bit of an aftermarket cam, aftermarket spin-on oil filter. Got a Dorletto carburetor and a merge extractor on the headers, aluminum valve covers, just small engine odd stuff. The drivetrain is known as a transaxle. It comes out of an early 60s VW Beetle. And it's got a torsion housing, suspension into it. It's tied in and welded into an 1.5-inch tube chassis frame with a body on top of it. Me and my son took this on as a project, and we did it in about 3 months. All our own welding and fabrication. Of course, the tubing was all pre-bent, but we did all the fabrication. It's a Baron buggy out of Pennsylvania, and a fiberglass body to match. So everything was all fitted and done up that way. So it's just for going around. I got pretty nice big tires, set tires on it. So, everything's for safety. So that's about it. So
Why did you build it 3,000 miles?
3,000 miles away from the closest desert. Well, I wanted to have something different. But I did put a pretty good size set of mud tires on the back. But there is a lot of mud around here. So, yes, sir. Yeah. Go to this one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I've had this buggy for over 30 years. I found it behind a friend of mine's chicken house with weeds growing up through the bottom of it. It's as old as my oldest son. When we drug it out of the back of the chicken yard, we pulled it in the shop there, and somebody had the distributor in the wrong way, and it backfired. And my wife at the time, she jumped, and I said, "What? Did he just kick you?" He said, "Yeah, she was pregnant with my first son." So that's how long I know I've had this buggy. So he was born in 1988. So it's been restored 3 times. I didn't have a good shop. I had a small shop. I couldn't put it inside with all my other projects. So it sat outside for over half of its life, but it has a life of luxury now. I've restored it 3 times, but it's just got a standard stock 1600 in it. I built it for durability and drivability. It's all stock, dual port, and same thing with got a little bit of aggressive set of tires on this one too, but just for fun. Can't take them on the beach or anything because it ain't 4-wheel drive, but I've had it a little ways, but not far. And I've had it so long, it's just like part of the family. It's the old blue buggy. That's how everybody knows me by. So